So,
Okay.
hello and welcome to Ask the Icon, a live web series for working professionals. I'm your host, Kaushikmajumder, author and workplace challenge consultant. Needless to say that we have hit difficult times, probably the worst in decades. A lot of uncertainties all around, and working professionals are no exceptions. They have a lot of questions, a lot of confusions with very little clarity. So the objective of Ask the Icon is to try and find answers to those questions and clear the confusion. Yes. So on every episode of Ask the Icon, we're going to have an industry icon as our guest who would be addressing your questions live on Zoom and Facebook. So without further delay today, I would like to introduce you to today's icon. The first icon of Ask the Icon is a prolific speaker himself, an astounding leader, the former Chief Human Resource Officer of Max People and the sitting Chief CHRO of Crompton, Geaves, Satyajit Mohanty. So thank you very much, Satyajit, for agreeing to be the first icon of Ask the Icon. Would you like to say something to the viewers, please?
Thanks, Kaushik. It was a pleasure interacting you in the course of the material development for your book. And I've been through your book. It is a wonderful publication, and I strongly recommend people to read it, especially people in the HR domain who really want to know what different industries are doing so as to learn from others.
Thank you very much.
You have been very kind, right? So I would not, just a normal CHRO trying to survive in an era which none of us are prepared for, right?
True.
And every day throws up different challenges we have never dreamt of.
True.
So in a way, I look at this period as an extremely enriching learning experience and without parallel in the last 20-25 years of my career.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for your nice and kind words, Satyajit. And trust me, pleasure is all mine. It's an honor to have you on this show. Those of you who haven't read my book, The Process Pro, Satyajit is one of the stalwarts interviewee who I interviewed for my book. So yeah, I'm indebted to him. So on this show, Satyajit, I would ask you questions that I've received from the viewers who are mostly working professionals. So with your permission, should we proceed with the Ask the Icon, the first episode of Ask the Icon, please?
Of course. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. So the first question, which is very common whenever you talk to a working professional, when I'm talking to any working professional as a workplace challenge consultant, I get to hear this question. Now I'd love to know the answer from you. How to deal with the management or bosses who are unprofessional, believe in micromanagement, keeps on questioning subordinates' capabilities? The question I've received from Komal Yadav.
See, what I have seen is even the worst so-called bad bosses, they also have few people who are so-called favorites.
Right.
Right. So that means no matter how within quotes bad or unprofessional the bosses, there are codes available to the boss which you can crack the code, right? When I mean unprofessional, I'm not talking about issues like malpractice. I'm not talking about issues like which kind of border on the code of business conduct kind of issues. I'm not talking about those kind of unprofessionalism. I'm talking about the kind of stuff you are speaking about, which is micromanagement, not delegating stuff, right? Interfering too often, those kind of stuff, right? So the first advice I'd like to give is, at the end of the day, he's your boss, right? You have two choices, right? Three choices rather. One choice is, like most of your colleagues, what they would have done, quit the field and go away. Second thing is, endure the hell, right? And that kind of drives the sleep out of your eyes every night, right? Mm-hmm. And go all about cribbing about it, making your life miserable, your family's life miserable, your colleagues' life miserable, talking about it. Third is, make a sincere attempt to understand your boss and try to work with him. I'll narrate one specific experience. In fact, I had 3 such experience in my 22 years of my career, where my relationship with my boss was an extremely low ebb, right? So if you would have taken my interview at that point of time, I would have probably called my then concurrent boss a bad or unprofessional boss, right?
True.
So, and out of the 3 occasions, right, one occasion I chose the first option, ran away, right? And that is probably on hindsight. If there is one good thing I regret in my entire life, right, that is one occasion I regret, right? The other 2 occasions, I decided to stay and fight within quotes, right? What does fight mean? Fight means trying to understand him or her better and trying to deliver whatever he or she is expecting as per those expectations. Once you start doing that, in both the occasions, I managed to come out from a minus 180 degree to a plus 180 degree turn in the relationship. So look at this. I was one of those guys who used to, at one point of time, crib about that my boss is unprofessional, he's not a good boss, he's a pain to work with him. And many of my colleagues, and they used to echo my feeling, yeah, he's a bad guy, right? How can you tolerate him kind of stuff? But however, I found out to my surprise is, by trying to understand him or her, I could actually crack the code, and those 2 remain 2 of my proudest moments of my life.
Absolutely.
And this is, when I talk to my team members or elsewhere, I always cite these 2 examples that you just cannot give up on people, be it your team members, be it your boss. Just need to understand them better. There's nothing who is a bad boss, because even a bad boss has people who know how to handle it. You just not to know it.
True. Fantastic. So yeah, that was the first question. The second question is related to today's situation, which has come from Wasim Azad. His question is, due to COVID-19, what will be the future scenario in below mentioned areas, and what will be the role of HR in those areas? So number 1 is current and future increment. So he's talked about increment. Second is variable pay. Third is unemployment and the layoff. Basically the areas HR primarily deals with. Yeah.
I will talk about the micros questions first. The 3 topics we spoke about: increment, bonuses, and layoffs. Then talk about the larger topics: is a situation like this, what kind of challenges throws up, and what HR can do about it.
Okay.
See, increments, at least I can talk about India. I'm very well networked in the industry right now. There are 3 schools of thought at this point of time. One school of thought is there are companies who have actually gone out and announced the normal increments, as the case may be. Okay. They take it as, I can name companies, but I would not like to quote it at this point of time, because I'm not sure whether they would like to be quoted, right? So their standing is, they find it a remarkable opportunity to demonstrate to the employees what the company stands for, right? So they say that this kind of downturns and upturns comes, but you would stand by your employees, right? Bonus, most companies announce the bonus in the first quarter, etc. So they don't have much visibility, right? Layoffs right now, most companies, unless you are working in the airlines industry, right? Nobody's kind of seriously contemplating layoffs at this stage. I'm not very sure about how things are in the retail, in the real estate sector. But even automotive sectors, like I have some very close friends in the automobile big setups. I can talk about it. It is a public news which came out. Tata and Sons have come out and guaranteed employees that there will not be a single job loss due to this COVID downturn, right?
Right.
So this is the first generation of companies who have decided to walk the normal route as a symbolism for the employees. Till now, a very small number.
Mhm.
The second one, also a very small number, right? That includes in some of the multinationals, so that includes extremely well-known companies, couple of them. They have actually decided on decreasing or deferring increments by a quarter, or 6 months to a quarter.
Mhm.
And even the top management or the senior leadership, they started taking pay cuts, right? However, in the circles I operate in, most of the companies are which includes us as well. We are in the situation of wait and watch, right?
Mhm.
Uh, the simple logic is none of us, including nobody in the industry, none of us ever faced it. It is very difficult to predict how the things will move even 15 days down the line,
True.
right? Just imagine the scenario, right? If God forbid a situation becomes very bad, and let's say the lockdown or similar kind of initiative is continued for 3 to 4 months or 5 months, it will bring the economy and a company to a shape which none of us can even fathom, right?
Yep. Yep.
And we do not, none of us really know how good or bad the situation is going to be, right? Of course, it's good news that a silver lining in the horizon, like China seems to be getting control of it, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But however, when it comes to it, I will kind of do a bit of crystal ball gazing here.
Mhm.
I still would imagine there would be most companies, they may lower the increment percentages. They may actually defer it probably by a quarter or so, right? To see a bit of, but I would not imagine many companies with very strong value system ethics making the entire increment as zero or abolishing the increment cycle. The same for bonus as well, because bonus, the way it happens is bonus is always like online increments. Bonus is always a payment for the last year's the financial which is gone by, right? And most company would have made the provisions in the last year's balance sheet or balance sheet,
All right.
right? So
Mhm.
bonus also, I would expect, and that is a concurrent thought in the industry, uh, bonus payout as per the business performance of the year gone by. Of course, the last 15 days or 1 month were hit badly by the COVID developments.
Mhm.
So keeping that aside, I would expect the bonus payouts to be based on the last year performance, but not abolishing bonus payouts altogether,
Okay.
right? Of course, there are a lot of talks about salary cards, so on and so forth. But any company with value, which most companies are actually, they have very strong value systems.
You're
Uh,
talking
they-
an average reading across industries, right?
yes, because I'm part of many forums, and this is a
Exactly.
question we all of the debate
Yes.
as to
Yes.
what you are doing and what you are not doing, because it's a question which, unless you are in bucket one or bucket two,
Hmm.
which is probably 25% of the CHR, the balance 75% CHR are just looking at the situation along
Hmm.
with the respective CEOs and leadership teams
True.
and evaluating the development so that they can take appropriate action.
True. Yeah.
Right. Now coming to the layoff side, there also nobody is talking about layoff as of now, and nobody is contemplating because, and that is the exact reason when you are freezing increment cycle or you are cutting management salaries, senior leadership salaries, you precisely do because you do not believe in laying off people for a temporary downturn, right? Yes, so that's the exact reason. Even if we had come to do that as well, we'll take the harder personal route of probably deferring increments or taking our own salary cards
Mhm.
rather than laying off a single person,
Okay.
right, in this scenario. So layoff is still not a specter which we see in the Indian industry. But I must tell you, I'm also network around the world. Layoff is quite a big thing around the world right now.
True.
US, when the thousands of jobs are getting lost as we are speaking.
True.
Same is Europe and so forth, right? So all I can say is Indian industry is more resilient than the global things, right?
Okay.
But God forbid if this thing continues for 6 or 8 months, the situation might change dramatically.
Absolutely.
Coming to the last and superlative question is what HR can do in this kind of time is, and this is something which we are kind of working day and night to give confidence to people about precisely the kind of topics we are talking about. We have a lot of faith in the people, right? For example, think of it. If people see everywhere increments are being deferred, Everywhere salaries are being cut, or people are being asked to take 5 days of unpaid leave in a month kind of stuff. We personally believe employees are matured enough to understand that, right? The real thing which really worries the employees at this point of time is the layoff. Because at this point of time, every industry is badly placed. So if you lose a job because of layoff, the chances of you finding a job elsewhere is practically zero. So the biggest job which HR can do, one of the biggest job at this point of time, is to create that confidence in the employees cadre that we are there for you. That is one. Second is, like any other crisis moment which you are doing, it presents unique opportunities to engage with employees. In the last, let's say, we were one of the companies who first took the step to start working from home, right? Much before the actual lockdown was declared, or 2 weeks before. We took this opportunity, for example, to start doing three kinds of stuff, right? One is start investing majorly in employee capability. In the last, let's say, 3 weeks to 3.5 weeks, we have been working from home. I have never seen a more widespread network of developmental activities in my career than what I've seen in the last 3 weeks in any company, right?
Okay.
Huge investment in, investment in developing employees, not, and also a lot of the training programs, etc., have been done by the the employees themselves. Second is employee communication. The second one, we are all learning how to work from home because we are traditional companies and all those stuff, and how to stay connected in times like this. And especially when don't see each other, you can't walk up to somebody's cabin and talk to a person. How to stay connected, right? Communication. Thirdly, but not the least, because I always believe engagement is a two-way ticket. One part is what company does for the employees, and second and more equal critical is what employee does for the company. At a time when employees start doubting their contribution for the company because the sales are shut, the factories are not running, we have to give them more and enough opportunity to express themselves instead of contribution to the company. So these are the three things which we are trying to do in the current context, and which, when I compare notes to a lot of my CHRO colleagues, they are pretty much, at least in the first two buckets, of engagement through communication and capability building. Few of them are also taking the route of building this kind of processes or projects, etc. So this is what the primary focus is.
Mm-hmm.
So all of us are hoping that in maybe in another 1 or 2 quarters, things will come back to normal, and also preparing for the new normals, right? So that is also another stuff we are doing, but it's not a path-breaking stuff, because all of us are kind of hoping that things will come back to some semblance of normalcy in about a quarter or so. Just a second,
Yes.
just a second.
So, you belong to manufacturing industry where customers are, are to be, unlike IT industry where things can be done over the phone or from remote areas, right? In your industry, things are to be serviced or delivered in person. And you say that you have started work from home earlier than most of the companies have started in India. So, I mean, it's very interesting because then the question comes, that the traditional companies think that working from is not as productive as it is from the office. That's a traditional way of thinking. So, how do you look at it? Of course, there is a question related to that topic, but I couldn't, defend myself asking this question since you have raised that.
See, Kaushik, most of us are prisoners of our past experience, right? Uh,
True.
Personally, I have never worked in a setup where this kind of widespread work from home is there.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly speaking, I had my own apprehensions. First, we had to do ourselves is to work past our past fears, right? So what we started doing first thing is, let's start work from home in select segments. And we had, frankly speaking, I was myself was really, really worried as to will people really work from home? I never faced it, right? So first I started doing what is that for the people who are in office staff. They're the first one to move that you don't need to come to office. And for a couple of days, we started looking at how they are adjusting. to the new normal, right?
Mm.
Surprises, as I always believe, if you put faith in the people, they never cease to surprise you in a positive way. The nutshell is, we left it to the choice of the individual employee, especially in the sales, to decide as to how he wants to execute his business with the full freedom that he decides whether to work from home or to go to the market. And there is no say of the line manager who can force anybody. So the people took it fantastically well, especially when they saw there are some of our competition and all, they're still forcing the people to go to market, etc. They really liked it. So what the learning here is that you treat them like adults, empower them, trust them, and they'll reciprocate in their behavior as adults and empower them, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So this is a classical way of trusting the people, and they will find a way to deliver. Of course, for manufacturing operations, when it is a process industry, we gave the degree of freedom to the context that social distancing and see best to how to do it. But there we have to be slightly more cautious because it's a process industry, right? You can still manage your dealers or distributors from remote, but even if producing a stuff, right? You actually have to go to the factory and produce it, right? So they are a different strategy are done. But I would proud to say that after going through the entire cycle for about 3 weeks right now, I know the employees believe in us and we believe in them, and we are in it together. So that's full faith and full transparency what we managed to achieve with the employees.
Okay. So third question is, which is the industry that would be secured in the emerging situation due to COVID-19 outbreak? So the person is Ravi Ranjan, and he belongs to hospitality. So he said, should I be worried about my job?
Hotels, right?
Yeah, hotel industry, yeah.
See, again, it will depend on like what your value system of the company is, right? This is the time when, for example, if you're a part of Taj Group, for example, which belongs to the Tatas, and Tata Sons have come out openly and told that,
nobody can lose jobs.
You guarantee jobs and etc. Right?
Yeah.
So there, I would not worry about my job, right? I will know the stuff. But then there are all kind of industries, all kind of stuff where it may actually impact quite significantly, right? But however, the fact of the matter is, this is not like a recession which comes back as a downturn of employees, consumer sentiments. What the way we see it is that this is an artificial downturn, if I may use the word.
Okay.
So once the entire specter of the COVID goes away, which is bound to go away at some stage, the things will bounce back to the new normal. Okay. That is a time when those same companies which might let you off will approach you, take you back, right? So maybe it might be a question of probably at best, God forbid, shouldn't happen, like, if maybe 1 or 2 quarters itself, but eventually those will bounce back. So it's not like a subprime crisis, something US and all, which is a deep embedded economic crisis without an end in sight. That is at least not at this point of time.
Right. So there is an announcement going on. Please close the shops. So the question is, I believe you can hear me, right?
Yes.
The question he has asked that, is there any industry that is safe at this moment, which is sort of recession-proof in these circumstances? What is your opinion?
Everybody would say that pharma industries. No, I'm not sure. I don't know. Even pharma industries, depending on what you do, maybe facing some challenges. But I don't think there is any industry which is safe at this point of time, because after the way the entire global business is so well networked together, so there is nothing which is a standalone entity and which will, safe from this kind of disruptions at this point of time.
Okay, the next question is from I.S. Subramaniam. He says that I'm an IT professional and we find the employees' engagement with HR is very less. I would say nil. That's his word, not mine. And not just this organization, but in my last couple of organizations, both IT, it was the same. So is it because hire and fire policies that are predominantly followed in by HR in IT? Is it because of that, this disengagement of the level of engagement? How do you think as a non-HR employee, I can make contribution in building this relationship? So, yeah.
Kaushik, I will not like to make an explicit comment about IT because of two reasons. First reason is I have never worked in IT myself. So, second is
Okay.
I have quite a few friends who do work in IT sector and say, right. I would not like to talk like this. IT, the hire and fire policy exists in IT as it is.
Okay.
I worked in insurance industry, and insurance industry does have a very high level of attrition, right? That I can talk about. At least it used to be there 5 years back. I don't know how the situation is because whereas in insurance industry, each and every company worth its name were facing extremely high level of attrition. I will not call a hire and fire policy because the nature of the business is such that there's an extremely high attrition, right? As opposed to that, what I hear from the IT industry is, again, like most industries, it is continuum practices. There are companies, think of it like TCS, Tata Consulting Services. How can something like Tata Consulting Services coming from the Tatas would have a hire and fire policy because coming with those kind of strong value systems what they have?
True.
Right?
True. Yeah.
And on the other hand, there may be other companies which are on much more shakier grounds in terms of values, or principles, etc., which may take a more like approach like this, right? So all I can say that there is no industry which is a hire and fire industry. There are specific companies who give a bad name to the industry, right? Even if I'm consumer goods industry, there are consumer goods companies who at a specific point in time were called a hire and fire company, right? But over a period of time, even those companies have changed into which extremely solid values and principles, etc., right?
True.
There's nothing called an industry being bad or good, right? It is a specific company at a specific point in time as directed by a specific leader,
Right.
who's giving a bad name to the specific industry.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, I think it's more of a company specific than an industry specific phenomena, right? So there is no standard approach. Okay. The next question is from Edward Pinto. I would like to know, that's related to interview. Okay, should not the interview process be evolved in companies following the traditional approach, the technical tests and the managerial interviews? I'm told attitude is important. However, I see that is the area which is compromised, and skill is what primarily tested during interviews. So, what is your opinion? I know you have a very strong opinion on this particular.
Yes, my favorite topic.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, I know. Yeah, please go ahead.
I couldn't agree more with Mr. Pinto. Right. All of us, on virtue of a long experience, have got a lot of misplaced confidence. I call it misplaced, I repeat the word, in our ability to judge people. Think of it. So many marriages break after so many years. Our children give us surprises all across. Now tell me, you are spending a lifetime with a partner, then partner suddenly gives you a surprise. So because of the marriage breaks, the child behaves in a manner in which you didn't expect him or her to behave. And that's after spending a lifetime, countless hours, countless time with your partner or with the children, right? What chance do you have to evaluate a person in a 45 minutes, 30 minutes to 1 hour interview, right? Unfortunate part is, none of us really ever realize this. So we have this classical way of judging inferences, seeing patterns when none exist, or ignoring patterns even if it stares in our eyes.
Yes.
Right. So this is one area that I've seen countless people. I've recruited thousands of people. So I'm an expert. Have you ever thought about, and which I've started doing a lot of late, is, let's say you interviewed person X 6 months back. Now you know the person. When you left, interviewed a person X 6 months back. you are left with certain impressions about the person. That this is what he is good at, this is not what he is good at, this is positives, negative, whatever it is. How many of us ever actually reflect and compare that impression with what we see after 6 months or 1 year of having close collaboration with the person? None of us do that. And as a result, we always are in the same situation whereby we overestimate our own selection abilities. There are so many different biases which exist in us. You can do something about it provided you are even aware of it. What do you do when you are not even aware of biases? So as a result, we continuously, and second thought is, how many times you see an interview process which you select a person even after being aware of all of deal errors. Now, all of us know that every person, no matter how successful he or she is, has a lot of errors. Because once we see a derailer, we think, oh no, he's not a good enough guy. We should look for the next guy, right? So the person, when you recruit, all probability, is the person who ticks all the boxes. No derailers, all strengths. Is that a possibility? Are we talking about a human being or are we talking about a god, right? None of us do that, right? So here what we, and Mr. Pinto's observation is spot on, we continue to rely on our misplaced professional integrity or people leadership through a 45 minutes interview. How on earth you take a good judge a person leadership skills through a 45 minutes interview? So here's something, unlike many other topics, we have made some sizable progress in terms of, we do still have multiple rounds of interview like the way Amazon does, etc. But however, we have augmented the process with a lot of data-driven tools. I'm using conscious of the word data-driven tools to know the person much better than what an interview process would highlight him or her to be. We have two jobs as HR leaders. One is we have to change our own mindset and not put so much of confidence in own abilities.
Right.
And equally critically, we have to educate our business leaders to start trusting data, which is not their gut feel.
Right.
Right. So it's quite a challenge. It's quite a challenge.
Right. So I have got two more questions. One is mine, and the other one is a gentleman called Raman Agner. Okay, and Raman is saying that I'm from insurance sector, which you mentioned a few minutes back. So in my organization, there is very little trust between the HR and stroke management and the insurance agents like me. The salary is low and the attrition is high, and it's been like that for ages. How, with the help of HR, this cycle can be broken?
My exposure in the insurance industry was rather brief, about 1.5 years in the insurance industry. We did make some inroads into the entire issue of attrition and everything. I will not say that we could solve the problem, but we did a bit of inroads. See, one of the chief reasons what I understood the attrition was there is a time for productivity, right? There's a time for productivity. What it means is when you recruit a person, at least that was the case in the healthcare, health insurance sector, where the person takes certain time for productivity, like 6 to 8 months, right? So one thing you have to make them understand is that time is an investment one has to make, right? After which the person will most probably succeed. So it is a question of creating the awareness in the mind of the each and every line manager that you have to be patient, right? Because you have to make them understand also that if the person goes away, the other person comes in, he or she will also have equally long or short, as the case may be, time to productivity, right? It is surprising how little the business leaders understand this because of business pressures. So they will typically throw out a person who are, let's say, clocking, let's say 40 or 50% of target.
Mm-hmm.
They seldom stop to think that the next person I get into the system, he will take 6 months to get to the same 40% or 50% of efficiency of target. And there is also no guarantee there.
Yeah.
Once you start showing them a lot of data and this kind of socialization, this awareness gets created. So the person line managers start taking a bit of ownership about the employees' attrition, right? So that is something we started doing. It was largely driven by the CEO himself as well as me, because it's a business topic. Like unlike many companies, attrition in insurance industry is a big business topic, because people don't stay. So who will get the business? Who will get the appoint the agents? Who will get them to buy insurance policies, etc. Right? So we could make some changes there. We could drive some little bit of KPIs and attrition on that side. So, and definitely it's not a question of doing a lot of fun activities, etc. That doesn't really contribute much to attrition. It does make people feel good. But when the line management do not understand that there is a time for productivity and they have no choice but to wait for it, so-called engagement activities like the fun at work kind of stuff has very limited effect.
So we have covered most of the questions, and time is is pressing. So the last question I've got for you, which is from my side, you have already touched about the work from home scenarios, which the traditional companies which follow traditional way of working also now adapted. Now, how do you see the culture is getting changed in those companies which are not familiar with the new normal, so far? And how do you see the process also getting changed, the processes and the culture, the impact on process and the culture, because of the emerging outbreak, emerging crisis, in your opinion?
I'll tell you a little secret. 3 weeks back, though the entire company was working from home, I was still going to the office 3 weeks back. I personally never thought that I could work from home, right? And my boss used to ask me, why are you not working from home? I used to give some excuses. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't think that I could work from home. It turned online. It has become my life.
Right.
So the same point here, Kaushik. If people see the need for it, you will continue to surprise yourself as to how flexible we can all become.
Sure.
Right. So right now, all of us are pretty comfortable talking over Microsoft Teams, pinging people instead of calling them or working on all pretty comfortable, right? 3 weeks back, none of us could have even dreamt of it. So, like everything else, I have full confidence in the abilities of people to adjust to a right scenario, provided they see a real business case and need for it. So I do not have any doubt that no matter whichever reality this new disruption throws up, people will adjust to it and they'll thrive. Life finds a way.
So do you miss the proximity in meeting rooms with your colleagues?
Not really. I used to think this, right?
I mean, those are the questions. I had few more, but I know, as I mentioned, thank you very much, Satyajit, for your time and the answers of viewers. I'm sure you found these answers given by Satyajit immensely helpful, because I have. Now, you know the drill. Please don't forget to hit the like and share button. Also, please use the comment section for any suggestion, comments, and of course, your question that you want to ask the guest icons. Oh, I remember. So there is one point I need your help with, Satish. So that is, I talked about a special gift for the best question of the day. So Satish, would you please tell me the best question you have been asked today? Yeah. So you mentioned the first question, which was related to the boss, right? So
yes, I like that one the most. It's the one closest to my heart.
So fine, so it's Komal Yadav. So Komal, I'll share the gift which I promised to you. So thank you very much again, Satyajit. And those who missed the interview live can watch the full interview on my YouTube channel, The Process Pro kaushikmajumder. And looking forward to see you in my next video with another icon, with another interesting perspective and lots of learning like today. Till then, with the icon Satyajit Mohanty, this is Kaushik Majumder signing off. Thank you very much. Thank you, Satyajit, very much.
Thank you, Kaushik.
Thank you.